Many people in the Battlefield community wanted to know if there will be thermal or infrared scopes inside of Battlefield 6. And we've got a lot of leaks lately from Battlefield Labs where infrareds and thermals are being used. We do not know if this is something that is being tested for multiplayer, for Battle Royale, or for both. We'll have to wait and see, of course, until the game is launched or we get a full list of all of the attachments. But it looks like it's at least being entertained as an idea of having them as an attachment inside of Battlefield 6. And of course, the community is going to be split on this. Some people really love them, some people really hate them. It is a hard balancing act in any first-person shooter to have a thermal or infrared style scope, because they're either going to be too strong or they're not going to be really useful. And a lot of Battlefield games in the past have had thermal scopes in some way, whether it be smaller size scopes like 1 time or 2 times, up to, sniper style scopes 8 times or larger. And I'm going to be curious to see how they balance this out in Battlefield 6. We all know Battlefield games sometimes have a hard time with visuals, being able to see players at certain distances, and that is one reason a lot of people like to use thermal scopes. But you also kind of have to balance that out. And one of the big balancing things that most games use for thermals is smoke. The only issue I have with smoke being the balance for thermals is you end up with a map that's just full of smoke all the time, especially if all classes can have smoke grenades. Now, if only a certain amount of classes have access to a smoke grenade, that probably would change a bit. But if most of the classes available in Battlefield have a smoke grenade, it kind of just turns certain choke points in certain parts of the map into just smoke-filled areas, and it's kind of hard to navigate, even if you're using a thermal or, of course, if you're just using a regular scope. It's just kind of difficult to move around the map easily. I will be kind of curious to see how the devs decide to do this, if they actually are going to put this in game. I think there's different ways you can adjust this. If it's going to be a smaller style scope, like a red dot or something like that, I think handling is probably the easiest way to not really nerf, but make it not as easy to use as a red dot, so that you would have a slower aim down sight time, just worse handling speed. And of course, if it's a larger scope, you can put sniper glint on it. We've seen that in past first-person shooter games as well. But overall, what we see here in the footage anyway, these are really, really strong. Now, of course, like I said, these are being tested in Battlefield Labs, so this is definitely not what we're going to see in the end by any means when the game does release. But you don't want them to be so strong that you can see enemies at crazy ranges. Now, it is nice to have a infrared scope if you're trying to find someone that's hiding maybe in some debris or some cover, or you're trying to get someone off a head glitch, or you're just using it for visuals inside of a Battlefield game, because like I said, sometimes certain maps, if not all the maps in Battlefield games, have visual issues at different ranges, or maybe with the camos that one side or another is wearing compared to the the look of the map, the color grading of the map. So there's a lot of things I think that they're going to have to take into account here. There's going to be a lot of adjustment to them if they do make it in game. I'm sure if they're too strong, you're going to see nerfs. If they're too weak, you'll see people saying that they're too weak and they need to be buffed. To me, you want everyone to be able to use whatever they want inside of any first-person shooter, but definitely a Battlefield game. You want people to enjoy using the attachments, the gadgets, the weapons. You want people to test and try out everything, because you never know. If you're just using a certain weapon, you never know what you might find if you're not testing other stuff out, if that makes sense. You might find your favorite weapon if you're in there just trying all the stuff out, because it's all equally as good as the other options you have. So overall, I think it's going to be a very interesting balancing act, like it has always been in Battlefield when it comes to infrareds or anything we have like that that's going to allow players to see enemies easier. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what DICE does. But leave me a comment. Let me know, are you interested in having these in-game? Is it something you would like to see, or is it something you wish they would leave out? Leave me a comment with your thoughts. And, of course, if you like the video, hit the like. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.